In terms of your game, and obviously today we're looking at full swing.
Yep.
So in terms of the full swing and ball striking, what are the main issues you're having? Things you'd like to improve?
I feel like I'd love to be like more consistent, obviously. That's everyone's dream, to be more consistent. To be able to, my misses, I feel like I'm either hitting it thin or I'm hitting it off the heel.
Okay.
Whether it's, I don't know if it's me just not staying down possibly or that kind of thing. I know I have issues with at the bottom flipping.
So if we're off center, we're more some heels, some thins.
Yeah.
More thin than fat.
Yes, 100% more thin than fat.
And then how about direction-wise if you don't hit it straight? Any direction issues?
My warm-up here, I was all left, but usually it's most, if my misses were just, I think because I flip, it's weak right.
Pulls and fades,
Yes.
thins and heels.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not really a draw, it's more of a, hey, I'm fading it.
Fading it off.
And if it's going left, it's a pull.
Okay. And this will be a good one too for you guys. Like Drew obviously is a good player. He's got a lot of good pieces in his swing. There's pieces in Drew's swing that we would all want in our swing, but there's things to be tightened up, right? And I'm sure if we had a bigger sample size with different snares in the course, you start to see some more, stuff there as well. So obviously we can go through the whole thing and sort of like an initial analysis when you guys are doing this too. It's like, you kind of want to like have a full whiteboard full of stuff. Like I want to know the whole deal. Let's talk about all the details. And then let's look at that board and like, okay, how do we simplify this into the most important one or two actionable things? So a lot of detail and then simplify it down. So when we're looking at this, let's look at in general where we can improve and like what's causing the pulls, fades, thins, heels. Your setup pieces are pretty clean. Like I would be pretty good from here. There's maybe some little things to talk about. You've got a lot of neck tilt, right ear lower than your left at setup. Handle location's cool, grip is cool, ball position's cool. We could make an argument to flare your feet more to help with the hips turning potentially, a little bit more foot flare. But outside of that, your setup pieces are pretty good, okay? I could maybe a little more foot flare to help with the turning. When we take you to the top of the backswing, again, I would say your backswing pieces are pretty darn good. You don't have a lot of pelvis rotation or rib cage rotation during the backswing.
Okay.
But you still get a full 90-degree shoulder turn. So to me, that means you don't necessarily need to do more of those things. You probably have a little bit less than normal.
Okay.
So you have good enough, like spine flexibility to be able to do that. Still make a pretty full backswing. Club face is square, swing length is square. Pretty clean from face on, right? Now, when we start to watch you from here through, so we just got Drew at the top and Grant at the top. I'm gonna draw a circle around your head and a circle around Grant's head here. And as you start to work down into the downswing, we're gonna notice how much your head goes away from the target. Okay, so I got Drew into about arms parallel to the ground, the follow through. And now I'm gonna get Grant into arms parallel to the ground, the follow through. So at about the same position in time, can you start to see some differences with where you're at and where he's at? Now it's quite micro because you've got a lot of good pieces in here, but you have a little bit too much extension away from the target, which is just if your head is farther away from the target compared to where he is. So if you look at your right shoulder and his right shoulder, do you notice how his right shoulder has gotten more forward? I'll draw a line down so you can see. So here's where your right shoulder is, back away from the target. See how his right shoulder is forward towards the target. Now when you go, why don't I grab your club, Drew? If you could hop right over there for 1 second. When you're working through, and if you guys are struggling with the contact issues in particular, and we'll talk about some of the pulls and phasing up, but the contact, during the follow through, if I draw a circle around my head, we'll see Drew, you go a little bit too far away. So you're back away from the target like this. That would increase the thinning or the contact issue potential. And when your head's too far back, the shoulder's too far back. We can see with Grant's motion when you come through, if you draw that circle around my head, we want it to stay in, go slightly forward of it, and basically stay in that into the follow through. You want to have the shoulder work more forward. Now for you, the head stays back, the shoulder stays back, and then the only way to get to the golf ball is
to flip,
to throw.
Yeah.
And so part of you fixing the flip motion that you have is to be able to put your body in a position where you don't have to.
Yeah.
Chicken or the egg thing.
Yeah.
So if I have my shoulder more forward, I can transport my hands and arms more forward without having to necessarily feel as much.
Okay.
So head back, shoulder back, too much extension, too much throwing. That'd be the thins. And then obviously when I throw too much, that points the loft of the club to the left. which would also be pulls.
Yeah.
So I want to have the head forward, the shoulder forward, handle forward. So it'd be like less thins, less pulls. And the general goal, when you guys are watching this, and this is really how I would look at this, is if I pull this club in line with the golf ball for me, what we like to use as a metric here is, or a checkpoint is, by the time the arms are parallel to the ground in the follow through, you want to have your shoulder get back to the golf ball line. This would be too far behind the ball, right? This would be at the ball.
Okay.
Help move the low point forward and the handle a little bit more forward, okay? So come on back over here for a second. So this would be a picture that I'd want to change here into the follow through to help. And then as we start to go down, obviously there's going to be a little bit too much, like I said, you see the handle. It looks as though your arms and hands are too far back, but it's really your lower body too far forward, which we'll talk about a little bit from here. So we have him at arms parallel, or club parallel in the downswing. See how his hands are in front of his leg and yours are behind your leg?
Yep.
So your arms aren't really too far behind you there, your hips are too far forward.
Okay.
Fortunately, we've got a good drill for that. Now, as you start to come in then, when you look at impact, you know, there's some throwing, like we mentioned, but it looks worse than what it really is because of your leg and foot.
Okay.
So if I look at you at impact and him at impact, he's got his hands over his left leg, your hands are at your right leg.
Yeah.
But in terms of your lead arm alignment, your lead arm is still slightly in front of the shaft. Now his is more in front of the shaft, but you see how your knee is so kicked in and your foot and your hip are in,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Feel like a early extension sort of thing.
Yeah.
So because your hips are too far forward, it makes it look even worse than what it is. So we want to have the foot more down, the hip more back,
Okay.
as the shoulders work forward.
Yeah.
And we do that with the bowler drill. Thank you, Steve Saraki. So I keep the setup pretty good. I wouldn't touch the backswing for now. I think you're doing a pretty nice job there. We need to get the lower body from the foot, knee, hip pop it in, and the shoulder being back to have that back and the shoulder forward. That should help get the handle more forward, clean up the contact, and the pulling,
Okay.
right? So that would be the main thing that I would start with from here. Great job at the top with the wrist angles, club face. I'm cool with all of where you are at the top.
Okay.
You could take your top of backswing position and play scratch golf. Okay, there's maybe some little things to tweak and clean up, but from here, you do a nice job coming down. The shaft's on a good plane through your mid bicep here, is that left arm parallel. You probably before, when you went under plane and over, probably had the club more out in front of you, but you're doing an okay job there with that. See how far your right knee is in towards the target.
Yep.
Right about there. See the difference in the legs?
Yep.
So you do a nice job getting turned, you do a nice job getting rotated. A lot of this is really good. But because the foot goes up, the knee goes in, the hip goes in, the arms are behind, shoulder back, head back, a little bit of throw. Thins, pulls, fades. So we're gonna have the foot stay down, the hip stay back, the shoulder go forward.
Okay.
Yeah. You see the differences there? Yeah. And then there'll just be a continuation of that. So let me hop in there one more time. I'll have you right over on the left there, Drew. So how you start to solve this, you guys have a similar issue. We did a good video on this one, Mayor, with Steve Saraki doing the right foot back kind of bowler drills. Let's just kind of say that your hips are too far out in front and your shoulders too far back. Feel that? So to fix a problem, you always got to do the opposite and exaggerate.
Yep.
You got hip forward, shoulder back. So the opposite of hip forward would be hip back.
Yep.
The opposite of shoulder back would be shoulder forward.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to preset you in a stance with the bowler drill to kind of force feed some of that in there.
Yeah.
So the bowler drill works like this, and if you guys have similar contact issues, you want to do this. Here's my normal setup. I'm going to pull my right foot back, maybe 30, 45 degrees. You can also have it be slightly on the toes to start, that's optional. The foot's back to preset the hips closed, to keep the right hip more back. Now the goal with this far back is, when I come down and through, I want to feel the shoulder get forward. And if I do this right, and I have my foot back, it's like a bowler.
Yeah.
I learned this from Steve Strack. I think he learned it from Andy Plummer. So the foot stays back, the shoulder goes forward. You might even feel like the foot kind of slides back this way. We'll work through that. The shoulder goes forward, but you notice when I do that, it's very easy to get the handle forward.
Yep.
Compared to this look. Yeah. So foot back, shoulder forward. I want to get the shoulder past that line by arms parallel to the ground. And we could just do like kind of a 3/4 one to start, but the goal here is clean contact. Solid contact, first things first. You ready to give it a try?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's do a couple practice ones as if we had a ball here. And anytime you guys are doing a drill like this, like you do 1 or 2 dry reps just to get a sense of what you're working on. But as soon as you get the general idea down, like put a ball in there right away. It's gonna transfer much better with a ball. Let's close the stance more than that.
Close it more than that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna feel even more. It's gotta be to the point where you're like, whoa.
Well, exaggerated, right?
Yeah, bingo. So now let's go just like halfway back.
Okay.
Halfway back and pause. So now as you start coming down into impact, I want you to feel like that right heel is staying on the ground as you get into impact. Okay, now as you work through into arms parallel to the, bingo, exactly.
Okay.
So now you should feel like, whoa, my upper body feels really turned and forward, and the lower body, see your heel is up?
It's up, yeah.
Can you put it down a little more?
Put it down again, yeah.
Now that's like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
This is stupid exaggeration. But you feel how twisted or turned your upper body is relative to the lower.
Yep.
That's the goal. Now your foot can certainly come up into the follow through.
Okay.
But the feel for you, since it comes up and pops in,
Yeah.
is that it's gonna stay down longer.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll work through some of the nuances. So we'll go a little half backswing, shoulders forward, keep going. Good. And we'll get to a position when you swing here, about arms parallel to the ground.
Okay.
Now, if you were to let your foot come up, start to turn, kind of the idea here when you do this is you can let the foot turn, let the leg turn, but see how this stays back.
Yeah.
And this stays in.
Yep.
Compared to it popping out towards the golf ball.
Yep.
So let's take a setup again. Let's make a little half backswing. So if this is here, there's a little wall in front of your knee.
Okay.
You want to be able to go. You can let your foot come off the ground slightly, get the shoulder forward. See, your knee's going to stay inside that line.
So I'm going in, yep.
So I can still let the foot and the leg turn. So it's not so much when you guys are doing this drill, it's not about preventing any rotation. It's about it less going this way.
And more in.
And more in. So if there was this wall, yeah, exactly. So it can still turn, but it's got to stay inside this wall. Good job. Let's do a couple reps like that.
Yep.
So the foot is back. And when you start this drill, you guys do like little half back swings first and get into about arms parallel into the follow through. And I would pause at about that arms parallel spot. Foot's back, arm parallel, good. Little clip of the ground. That a baby. The upper body's turning big time against the lower body is what it feels like, right? I'm gonna record one or two of these so you can see. Hang on one second, let's get you into, okay, cool, go ahead and do one, little drill. That a baby, slower and stop at arms parallel.
Yep.
That's it, good. Okay, let's do one from face on. Just so you can see the difference between, so let's make your stance a little more narrow.
Okay.
Still back, but yeah, good. Awesome. So you can really feel that restricts that.
I feel like
body.
stretching you here, like, yeah.
Good, some different muscles.
Yes, for sure.
So we can, so when you do this, let's say a normal stance, the ankles are even with the hips.
Yep.
You can keep that same width.
Okay.
Pull it back. We kind of went wider.
We went wider and exaggerated,
we can bring it a little bit. But just to show you when you get through the hit, so we're just looking at the new drill swing. You see the difference in where the lower body is, where the foot is. Now this is exaggerated.
Yep.
But you see how that, you look like a bowler.
Yeah.
Right, with your foot back like that, which is the whole point there. Here's the bowler drill. So we'll do our normal swing versus bowler. So you can see this. And this is all for get the contact good, get the handle more forward, more consistent contact, less of the pulls. Okay, so here's your normal. See the foot and knee popping in and the head and shoulder going back. And you see the difference with this. And then now if we look at the face on one, so now we'll look at the new versus, or the drill versus the first swing face on. Again, stance a little too wide. I'll bring that in there a little bit. Right now, when you're practicing something, it has got to feel different and weird. So if you can see yourself on video and you see, hey, okay, it looks good. It feels weird, but it looks good. Because if you don't see on camera that it looks good and it just feels weird and you don't hit the ball good right away, we ain't gonna do it.
Yep.
So you gotta see it. You gotta see yourself do this. Is a mirror good enough? It's okay, but with a real ball on video would be the best version. Okay, here we're watching the head and the shoulder being back away. So let's give you a reference point here. So here's this one. See, the head's working back. Here's this one. So now we're gonna see the shoulder going much more forward. Now again, this is without a ball, so it's kind of cheat code. But you see how your shoulder is much more forward compared to the lower body.
Yeah.
And there versus there. See the difference?
Yep.
If I draw that line up, the shoulders got past the ball line and more forward. As you guys are doing this drill, if I got the circle in my head, remember, I don't want to have my head go away, not with an iron. I want my head to stay in there start to work forward and around. So the bowler drill is a good start. Now the other thing you guys can do is have an object by the back of your head. Now fortunately for Drew, I'm standing here, I'm gonna be the object, but you can put an object in your golf bag, you know, something here like this. And so let's do 2 without a ball. Okay. We're gonna do the same drill. I'm gonna hold my hand on the back of your head. I might give you a gentle push forward.
Okay.
Just to get a feel, and then eventually I'm gonna hold that and have you not hit my hand. Okay. And so on this first one, let's go ahead and take your setup position. So the stance doesn't get any wider, but the foot goes back, that a baby. I'm gonna hold my hand here to give you some reminder. Halfway back, halfway through, right knee stays in, right shoulder goes forward. Good. So you see how I'm not gonna let you push your head back just like that. And so what you're searching for is just some subtle feels that would go along with this. Good, you feel the difference there when I don't let you go back?
Yep.
Now I'm gonna put my hand about 1 inch behind your head.
Okay.
Let's do the same thing. In fact, I'll use this. And let's
just
not, I want you to not hit the stick.
Yep.
Same feels. Good, let's go again. Good. So can you get a sense of where your upper body's a little bit more forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, upper body's a little bit more, yeah, good, exactly. Okay, let's do a little hit with that same feel. So the stance is the same width, the foot's back. We're gonna feel the right leg staying in as the shoulder goes forward. Beauty, that was money. So same stance width,
okay.
The foot's back, that's it. Leg stays in, shoulder goes forward. Oh, beauty, dude. That's money, yeah?
Yeah.
So I mean, even look at there, how your arms have so much space to go through compared to the normal. When the foot stays back, the leg stays back, the hips stay back, it allows the torso to stay forward. I'm gonna say that again. When the foot stays back, the knee stays back, the hip stays back, then the torso can stay forward. So a lot of us, right, a lot of you guys watching, will have this look where the hips go in and the upper body goes back, the arms throw, the club throws, bad contact, inconsistent. One of the solutions for doing that is to start from the ground up, get the foot back, the knee back, the hip back, and then the torso can stay down.
Yep.
And then we can have the handle forward. So that's a pretty kind of powerful picture right there. And then you're also gonna see how much cleaner it is into the follow through when we get to about arms parallel. You see the club and the arms exiting a little bit too high into the right on your old one. Yeah. Whereas now the shaft's gonna appear more around us on the new one. Little minor stuff, but much different with the extension. Awesome. Okay, let's do the same thing, but let's try and work that into a full swing. Okay. So how you go from this to a full swing, you kind of start arms parallel, kind of 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Now we can do the same thing, go full backswing and full finish position. Still feeling the same thing. The knee stays in and then the shoulder works forward. Okay. Okay. So same stance width, but the foot goes back. Good. The knee stays in, the shoulder goes forward. You can go full swing on this one. All right. Awesome. Really good with the direction. Slightly thin. Yep. That'd be a good miss. And part of what we're looking for and what you guys are looking for when you're practicing is like, you want to identify the goals clearly. The goals are get rid of the thins, the heels, the pulls, and the overfades. So I want to start to see the balls not doing those as much. Start launching straighter and go straighter. Start hitting the ball more solid, right? Ideally all of them at once, but if not, at least one of those 4. Foot's back, good job, stance width. Right leg stays in, shoulder goes forward. Awesome. And so significantly less with the pulling. Yes, right? For sure. Now, when you guys are getting pulls, show me an old bad impact with like a big flip. So knee goes in, hip goes in. Can you even do it? There we go. Yeah, it just feels so weird like this. Do that one more time. So the more the handle goes back, guys, the more the flip is, the more you flip it, the more the loft points left for pulls. Now, the more the shoulder and handle are forward, the more the loft points to the right. And so part of, go ahead and relax, part of the pulls that he was getting, you know, his club face is tilted down a good amount. The club's kind of right on plane. It could be a touch more in, but you want to get rid of that piece first to where the loft is pointed to the left, okay? Why don't we do one more full swing? Right leg stays in, shoulders forward. That was beautiful contact. I think your setup and backswing pieces aren't really holding you back. There's some tweak stuff that could be done. But really changing the follow-through piece. So when you guys are practicing that and you're doing the bowler, live like where Drew and I probably are today, live at that 9 to 3 range until that becomes your normal.
Yeah.
And you want to do that in practice, you want frequency. So be like, okay, if Drew could do this and hit 20 balls a day, first things first, check from face on, like the shots themselves, like, oh, okay, hey, the arms are more in front,
Yeah.
the handle is more in front, the head and shoulder aren't as far back. I'm getting my body turned while keeping the leg inside with the shoulder and head more forward, exactly. First things first, and then we can make some little tweaks to like path and face depending on the ball flight, but you'd always err on flipping your flight. So pulls and fades, you'd want to see some push draw,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
If you're a push draw, you want to see some pulls and fades to find middle.
For sure.
Cool?
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.